off the mark. Gather round sovereigns, we're navigating our pineal glands with Meeks, Kali, and Tootie Odin, reclaiming our native lands, we're off the mark.
Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ahoy, hoy, aloha, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to every single one of you. Welcome to Off the Mark podcast. I am your host, Tootie O, and with me as always is my beautiful, amazing, angelic co-host, Miss Meeks Kali. How are you, my love?
Hello, hello. Welcome, Tootie, to episode number 13. Oh my goodness. Excited to be here.
So ready, so ready. So
Yes, thank you.
It's been a week, as we all know.
Right. Some things happened.
Stuff, some things, you know, whether you watch the news or not, you know, the talk around the water cooler is the chaos going on around America and the potential for more chaos on the inauguration on January 20th. We're just going to give you a quick recap on the Capitol, and at the tail end of this episode, we're going to give you some quick reminders on preparedness, just in case we have to go on another lockdown due to security purposes. Again, when you have a plan, there's no need to panic, so we'll get there. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce an idea called what we've heard on the news, and I'm sure in the news it's called the new normal. In the real world, it's called the Great Reset. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about a book written by a gentleman named Klaus Schwab, and we'll get into him much heavier later also. So chock full of amazing stuff. Oh, another thing we have is, okay, you guys remember when you go to class and you walk into class and you have the cart with the TV and the VCR, and you're like, yes, we're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna watch a movie, ladies and gentlemen. One I have, I'm super excited. Right? It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, let's do this. How was your week, my love? What, politically and personally?
It's been an interesting week. It's been keeping us on our toes. A lot to talk about. We've been gathering a lot to share in today's episode. So how's it been for you?
It's been good. It's been exhausting,
Right.
just
I'm tired.
we have a plan, and we also have a lot of good vibes and a higher power on our side that isn't going to betray us, isn't going to let us go. So I'm in good hands right now. I really can't complain. It's been a tough 2020 for a lot of people. It's seemingly going to be a tough 2021 in a lot of ways. Regardless of which way the tides turn, there's going to be growing pains from this point on, and we're just going to try to bring you some on some of those growing pains. But real quick, I want to bring you a recap on the Capitol. As we all know, and as I said, we do have the inauguration on January 20th, where Joe Biden will become the president of the United States for the next 4 years. We, as of now, have 25,000 troops that just lie in wait and just brace themselves for whatever potential dangers are to come. Just in DC alone, that doesn't include the ones that are sitting here in our hometown of Long Beach alone. I've already myself personally ran into several folks in the military, full uniformed, and so they're here. They're in Long Beach. They're in LA. They're obviously in Sacramento, and they're in every state capital of every state, as they're all for potential violence, uproar, riots, what have you. This past week, we've been, just absolutely 100% saturated with all the images and all the chaos and all the mayhem that has ensued within the last January. Shoot, was it the 12th? I don't remember what day it was. Gosh, why
Did they first storm the Capitol? Was on the 6th?
It was on the 6th.
Yeah. And then he was officially impeached the week later, on the 7 days week later on the next Wednesday. And now the inauguration is going to be on the next Wednesday. So we're on already this kind of like Mercury cycle.
This cycle, exactly. Gosh, can you imagine what next Wednesday is going to bring? So yeah, 25,000 troops in DC. The news has updated that a lot. I'm not sure if there's a percentage or a number on these troops, but there are troops that are there that are not. They don't have weapons. They're not armed. Because there's a potential Joe Biden assassination that's in the works, apparently. I don't know if that's fact or if that's fiction or if that's just a fear tactic being put out on the news. But yeah, a lot of our armed guards that are in the Capitol apparently are not protected and or protecting the Capitol with any weapons. I don't really have any personal opinion on that per se. If you know how to fight or if you have good self-defense skills, you should be able to hold your own. But that being said, it kind of doesn't make any sense to have these gentlemen and ladies out there unarmed. I'm trying to understand why they don't. I'm trying. It just didn't compute to me why they think, oh, we can't have them armed just in case they're Trump supporters and just in case, you know, somebody wants to go rogue and assassinate Joe Biden. Like another thing is, if you see the way it's set up, you know, there's the 6 feet rule and there's only a couple chairs, just like his rallies were, or President elect Joe Biden's rallies were, just spotted people here and there. So it's not like there's going to be large crowds that are going to be surrounding the area. So I'm not really understanding why they have such a heavy force of military outside of the fact that it's very possible the Insurrection Act was signed, and this is on these military the military and the National Guard being there is Trump's doing, or if it's actually, you know, security being played out and just them trying to take precautionary measures via the inauguration. You know, so it's just. Nothing's computing to me personally, but again, I don't know exactly what the news is telling people. I don't know exactly what they're making sense of how this is turning out. All I hear is danger and this and that, and
all the major news outlets are like priming us for that, to expect, you know, and a clash and all this chaos to occur. And like you're saying, they're already setting themselves up for disaster. And it's much like when they stormed the Capitol that a lot of people were asking, how did this even happen? How are we this unprepared for this? And it's interesting, what crossed my mind as you were sharing that was at one of Joe Biden's rallies, he introduced himself as Kamala's running mate. And then the crowd laughed, of course. And then he says, y'all think I'm kidding, don't you? And, you know, leave it at that. And there's been a lot of other nods to, you know, Kamala potentially being the president instead. So it's almost like, are they preparing themselves for failure in this way? Just so that, imagine if a rogue pro-Trump supporter were to assassinate him, and then all the backlash that they could do as a response to that, you know, that in response to these domestic terrorists, because look what happened. Our president was assassinated because we citizens are just that out of control. There's already been this push for that. There's already been, you know, we've done some posts previously about there being parallels between Joe Biden and Abraham Lincoln, and him being the 46th president, and the numerology of all that. So there's already some, you know, predictions surrounding the 46th president. And yeah, you know, it seems like we're set up for a disaster. They're preparing us for chaos, and basically that if you're out and about at these things, that you're just going to get involved and implicated in it. And there's already been such a backlash for Trump supporters. Like we were talking about how a lot of people who are part of the Trump campaign have been told that they should be like not hired in whatever new jobs that they apply for. There's a lot of publishing houses that are refusing to publish or give book deals to pro-Trump supporters, which kind of almost is AKA conservative. So are they just going to, you know, silence that whole spectrum of school of thought, you know? So well, it's really interesting what could play out tomorrow from what you're saying.
Right. I can tell you personally, again, I've never openly come out as a Trump supporter. I've only come out with facts that favor him. And I've been banned from Facebook just this week alone. I've been silenced, you know, and they've been trying. On Friday, I got dinged so many times. By the way, this post from December doesn't comply with our rules now, and this and that. So
weeks later.
Friday, yeah, weeks later, they were just hitting me up, like just trying to shut me up, and they did. It worked. So I'm banned from. I have a restricted account when I get back on. I think I'm banned for 72 hours.
Wow.
So they're
right over the inauguration day. So like you can't speak now.
first one. I don't threaten people. I don't even call people names that they don't call me first. I only dish out what's given to me on purpose, because I want people to see. I want people to see exactly what's going on. Am I good at trolling? I will admit I am an amazing troll. Again, I don't dish out what I don't get. I'm not a bully. Okay, especially when it comes to facts and information, especially now, it's more important than anything else. So I've been cautious about what I've been posting. You know, on a side note, I have seen advertisements on our local websites for buy, sell, trade with T-shirts depicting Donald Trump getting his,
Right.
and these posts are still there. They're still okay. So assassination for one president, 25,000 troops. Assassination for another one. Let's sell some T-shirts, man.
Right.
You know,
$25.
the hypocrisy is insane, for one, and two, that's just evil. That's just, I don't give a who the president is. This dude, I don't care how much you want to compare him to Hitler. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and had the caption "Make America Great Again" with it, and then his head blown out.
My goodness,
Yeah.
it just creeps me out.
Yeah.
For 3 straight years, I hated this man. I couldn't believe the things that he was doing and he was saying, until the Russia investigation found nothing. There's no reason in hell, even if they were trying to pin things on him, that they wouldn't find anything. They legit had nothing to go on here. You know what I mean? So, and this, if that's the case, what else are they lying about? So these are the diggings and the things that I started to shovel through, and then started to understand where he came from, doctrinal, with his doctrine, with his policies, and the way they coincide with things that benefited this country historically. So it's just amazing to see the way that they put the thumb over him from the very beginning, and to see exactly where it's led up to now, and how the potential for silencing voices that actually try to come from a different perspective, that are, I guess, against the mainstream, which in my opinion, it cannot be when 70 plus million people voted for the exact opposite of what's happening now. So, you know, whatever mainstream is, it's not there. It doesn't exist. If you ask me, I think we're completely, just absolutely 100% balanced and in the middle. And instead of letting that be a thing where we unite, we let it divide us completely. We're shattered. And this brings us back to the Capitol. This brings us back to January 20th. The potentials for whatever the heck it is that they think is going to happen, again, doesn't make any sense to me. All I know is that they keep reiterating the phrase "set the stage" or "the stage is set."
Right.
So
notice it in the headlines and the articles. You'll see that phrasing over and over again.
Right, you can see it. You guys can see it for yourselves. No matter where you look, the stage is set. We're setting the stage. They're everywhere. So obviously something is planned and something is going to happen. Just as the Capitol, the insurrection at the Capitol itself was planned. Why do you think every single one of those cops who was there said, "I'm going to open this gate, don't mind if I do"? It had nothing to do with the fact that guy is white and I'm white and I'm going to do what this white guy wants me to do. It had nothing to do with any of that, which is what a lot of people are trying to, if that was a black guy, it would have been, you know, say what you will. I understand that point of view. I understand where you're coming from, thinking that's not the case. But in this case, that's not the case. This has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with I see eye to eye with you because of your racial color, and everything to do with the fact that I'm going to open this gate because I want chaos to ensue, because something here, there's wheels that are being greased, and this is how those wheels are going to keep getting greased. And that's all there is to that. And
meanwhile, as they're criticizing Donald Trump for inciting violence this whole week since the storming of the Capitol, like on the Daily Show and Trevor Noah, he's had nonstop interviews with like all about white supremacy and this and that, and trying to just like really drill this divide, you know. And on some levels, I think that racism would die out, or the newer generations would just kind of outgrow it if they didn't keep like reiterating this narrative.
Right.
Like, by the way, you guys were slaves. Like, don't forget.
Remember that. And again, it's not to disrespect our history. It's to understand history. That's it.
Allowing us to grow past it. Let it not be a ball and chain that we're never allowed to take off. Like, let's have.
to be able to get past it, it has to be understood. It has to be understood. It has to be understood. Just bottom line. And there's a lot of things in our history, regardless of your heritage, that we misinterpret and or lost in translation. Regardless of our backgrounds, you and I do not have the same background, but if we go back in our ancestral history, we're going to find out things that we didn't know before, thinking we've already had, know our answers like the back of our hands. There's a lot of people who culturally misrepresent or misunderstand the exact cultures and places they come from. History has been misrepresented. That's something that most of us refuse to acknowledge, but it's true. So once we're able to acknowledge it and get past that, when we're able to actually go back and find out where we actually come from, how we actually got here, why it's okay to be one with everybody, is probably, I mean, again, it's nothing we can do about history being lost. It wasn't up to us to create the history books that we learned from.
And especially if we have like cancel culture like we do now, and we're intentionally trying to erase it and uproot it, like there's been different ages or like during where, like they've burned libraries intentionally when they would go into a nation as part of the way to take over those peoples by, removing their history. And, ultimately every ethnicity and nation has had its, and family lineage has had its chutes and ladders of growth and expansion and, opportunity and downfall, through the ages. So certainly in the wheel of fortune, you might be on like an upspring in your, last couple generations or whatever, but it doesn't mean that it's promised for the next whirl around, or that you aren't on a climb up. So we can't just like once and for all say like you're on the bottom and you're on the top and this is forever how the hierarchy is, and we're sad about it and we're trying to fix it, but we're gonna do that by this blame game and this division that they're using.
You just brought up something that I didn't even think about, the fact that they are silencing and they are trying to erase history and they are trying to erase Donald Trump. That scares me. It only convinces me more that he has been trying to do right by us this entire time, regardless of his intention, regardless of his intention. I don't know personally what his intention is. I do know what he's doing right now is benefiting America. You're not going to sit there and tell me for the last 4 years your income didn't go up. Come on, you guys. Everybody made a little bit more money the last 4 years, you guys. Come on. Personal speaking, I mean, and that's just smaller scale, So there's bigger reasons why this man is being erased from history, and it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with him being tyrannical, and it's just it's insane. Even to erase a tyrant or to try to just erase from existence somebody like that, you would think that that'd be the opposite of what we want to do, as we do not want history to repeat itself.
Right, to remove the current standing president's page from this like state government website, to just completely withdraw it and make it blank. It's like before his presidency was like right as he was being impeached,
Yeah. No.
Before the inauguration has even taken place, like let him, if he had a bad presidency, let his executive orders and whatever speak for itself. The proof is in the pudding, and let that be the legacy of history, that this president happened and this is what he did, and then this is how the next president responded to that. Like, why just erase his entire page as if he was never there?
Yeah, weird. It doesn't even seem. Nothing about it makes any sense.
It hasn't even been a decade or anything. Like the man just got impeached. They're talking about dragging him out of the White House and preparing it as if it's going to be, this Mussolini lynching almost, of like grab the popcorn and prepare for, that's going to be worth the watch of seeing him. It's incredible, the mindset. Meanwhile, like this is the new presidency that's going to unite America.
Yeah, no kidding. I actually
doing a bang up job so far.
Biden's speeches, from what I've seen, I don't catch too much of what he says, but he comes out with Build Back Better, for one, which is what he likes to use a lot. I can't wait to get into that one with you guys. With Miss Kelly as well. And another one is peace and unity, or unity. He keeps crying unity. Bro, they've been saying the exact opposite almost since spring of 2020. That they're not encouraging unity at all. In fact, encouraging violence and saying, if they're loud, be louder. And these quotes have been used as a positive force to get people out there and to get their voices heard and this and that. And what ended up happening is, as we all know, cities and towns were destroyed and burned down, setting the stage for what's happening now, for what happened in these last 2 weeks. So, but now it's like, oh no, like, how dare you? You guys can't do that. Are you kidding me? Like, look at all the chaos you guys are causing.
And see what happens.
I wanted to, since we brought up, Donald Trump's end days, he just gave a farewell speech today. And I lost it. Damn you. But he says a lot of things. He says things like, I didn't choose the easy road. I chose the hard road. I chose a path that no other president would have ever chosen. And it's very Donald Trump, can you say, he's he always over exaggerates, but in this instance, it seems he chose a path that no other president has ever been on. They haven't found him guilty of anything yet that they can actually put on him. And by the way, at the end of his speech, here's real quote, the movement we started is only just beginning. So I know, right? So like, whatever that means, take it with a red pill if you ask me, but take it with a grain of salt. But so it's just, yeah, he did his farewell speech today. It was pre-recorded. It was about 20 minutes long, I think. But yeah, just the things he was saying, I couldn't really disagree with it. I wish I had it in front of me. I just had it and then my phone reset, so I can't get it back up quickly enough. But yeah, so just to wrap up on the Capitol stuff, it's tomorrow, which is January 20th. It's everybody's in full force. Everybody kind of has a little bit of anxiety about it. As far as us locally are concerned, we're going to bring you some preparedness tips at the end, but just in case you don't stick around for the end, water, full tank of gas, 2 weeks worth of food, canned goods, easy open canned goods. Water is probably the most important. If at all possible, get some physical fitness in, some exercise in. If you have weapons for defense, go on YouTube and research on exactly how to use them. If you do not, a baseball bat can work just as well as anything else. Work on that swing. And this is all for self-defense. This has nothing to do with inciting violence or doing anything other of the sort. But in case, it's always better to have a plan. Again, full tank of gas if you have to get out of here. If not, stay home and stay indoors. Otherwise, let's move on, and we're going to get to the Great Reset. Miss Kali, are you ready to bring this to us?
Okay, so let's start off with our little videos.
Yay! Sorry.
The movie time. Okay.
I'm doing this with you guys. Obviously, you guys haven't done this with us, so bear with us. It'll work though.
Okay, so as all YouTubers and influencers know, it's all about rebranding. So we're going to share this video brought to us by the World Economic Forum. Can you see this too, Tootie?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so this is from the World Economic Forum, published June 3rd, 2020, and it's called The Great Reset. So, theater mode. The world has changed. Remember that from that.
Oh, there's that gun.
Our challenges are greater. Our fragility is exposed. SOS.
Oh my God.
Our systems need a reset.
Wow. They put it right out there, don't they?
You know, money, this, that, the people, our food, the land, it's all we gotta fix it all. Everyone has a role to play, don't worry. We thought of each of you. We're getting initiated with our masks and we can't breathe. Ultrasounds, don't worry, we'll control birth. Energy. Great reset.
Wow. This is creepy.
Join us. And no one shall enter save the mark of the beast. Hold on, how do I? Okay, so we'll, okay. So that's our little introduction for what we're in for. This is nothing new. The Great Reset is also coined as Agenda 2030. Agenda 21 was its previous naming, which, hello, we're here, 2021. It also has a Vision 2050 version or like sequence of it. Some people know it as the New World Order. And yeah, but it's what we're going with. It's the new normal, and we're building back better. So Agenda 2030, you can look it up online. The World Economic Forum has a whole plan for it. So they have what's called the global goals. So let's see if I can even share this. Will I? Well, it's like all in my business. Can you see this?
I can.
Okay, so we have number 1, no poverty. Number 2, 0 hunger. Number 3, good health and well-being. Number 4, quality education. Number 5, gender equality. Number 6, clean water and sanitation. Number 7, affordable and clean energy. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. Number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Number 10, reduced inequalities. We're going to reduce them. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Number 12, responsible consumption and production. Number 13, climate action. Number 14, life below water. And number 15, life on land. Number 16, peace and justice, strong institutions, partnerships for the goals. Partnerships for the goals. So each nation has their own version of this. Let's see, actually, I'm going to stop share for a second. So each nation has their own version of this, of their own steps and assignments of how to achieve these global goals. And at a first glance, all of those things seem nice. Like what clean water and fair economics and equality, sign us up.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Right? But, we can think of some of the implications of that, especially if there's only one certain party that gets to be in charge of that. So here's an example of, this is the Department of International Development for Agenda 2030. This is the UK government's approach to delivering on the global goals. So you'll start hearing that particular phrasing, the Great Reset, global goals for sustainable development. So that's a key phrasing that they're using to usher this in, kind of like the Trojan horse, because of course, like save the earth, like Earth Day, sustainability, like zero waste, the vegan movement, all of these things, you know, nicely play into this, especially since the Green New Deal or the Green Deal. So global goals for sustainable development. So again, we have all 17 goals. And then let me see where it has the date of when this was published. Yeah, March 2017. So this is like pre-COVID, that they've already been in the works and had this in their vision. And now they're utilizing all the implications, as that clip and video we just shared demonstrated, that they're using these to now justify all these movements and actions that they're now taking in response to this challenge of COVID. So I'm going to share another graphic here. So here's another way to consider the 17 goals of the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. So, you know, zero poverty can be considered welfare dependence. Number 2, GMO and Codex Alimentarius, which is their control over FDA food standards and GMO to, you know, solve world hunger. So they're going to make all these plants that they can have a patent on and make, you know, tons of money and make people dependent on, and control farmers and have plants that don't reproduce. They can only do one season and then they're done, and you have to repurchase seed, instead of training people to save seed and do something that's actually legitimately sustainable. Number 3 is, you know, helping us with our health, these forced vaccinations, and already they're starting to introduce and do little teasers in the news about our COVID pass that we'll get to have, that can be like on your phone. It's going to be so easy, and then it'll let you know if you're up to date on your vaccinations or if you need to go back in. Education, you know, can also be considered mass indoctrination. So there's been a real upheaval in our school and educational system, you know, this year. Gender equality can also uproot and loosen our dynamic of that nuclear family that we once had, that give it what it may, and like, you know, love is love, and by all means, like, I'd prefer a loving relationship to one that is like toxic and, you know, traditional or whatever. But ultimately, if we're not promoting that dynamic of, you know, a committed couple with children that are raising that together. And then number 6, water rationing, because they're going to make sure that we have clean water. So you won't, you know, they'll manage our wells or our access to that. Smart grid surveillance for number 7. Number 8, no property rights. Number 9, slave labor, so that we all are equal in our labor and incomes. Number 10 is essentially communism. Number 11 is prison-like cities. So they're already restructuring our cities, and as global disasters happen, there's excuses for them to rebuild. A lot of people are leaving California or, you know, other states, for instance. So all these properties are, all these homeowners and things are having to sell their property really low and cheaply, and then, you know, industries can come in and buy it up and rebuild however they want to restructure these new smart cities. They're pushing towards a one currency, so they've also been mentioning that a lot, of how our economy has been compromised through COVID, and then they just continue pushing towards that, of having people unemployed and not able to open their businesses and all of that. Number 13, energy rationing. Number 14, controlling wildlife. So our access to be able to fish or hunt or, you know, grow, you know, range our own food. Number 15, controlling of resources again. Number 16, perpetual war. So, you know, bombs for peace that they seem to be doing to subvert different subjects of people. And number 17, a one world government, where they're all uniting nationwide towards this one goal, these agreed 17 goals. And the symbol that you'll see at the top for the O, that has a spectrum with all these rainbows, each of these represents the 17 goals because each of the colors match. And you'll see that certain world leaders will have a pin on their lapel that has this symbol, and that's basically their sign of their commitment or allegiance to these global goals, these 17 global goals. So we want to share all this, again, not to strike fear into anybody, although we do want to, I guess, just touch on real quick. Well, actually, I'll go here first and then I'll bring it back around. But here's a book we got called COVID-19, The Great Reset, and it's written by Klaus Schwab, who is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. And in 1971, he published Modern Enterprise Management in Mechanical Engineering. So obviously after the 70s is when we started the age of computers and took off into this new wave and age. And so his latest books include The Fourth Industrial Revolution, which was published in 2016. So right at the start of our previous presidency, and a worldwide bestseller translated into 30 languages, and also Shaping the Future for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in 2018. So although this book was released in July of 2020, so this year, because obviously it's in regards to COVID, he's been talking and writing about this subject of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, as it's also referred to. So that's another name and terming for the Great Reset. And some of the things that he touches on, you'll notice, really resemble those 17 global goals. So he talks about macro reset. Sorry, just one moment. So he talks about a macro reset. And so he talks about the conceptual framework and the defining characteristics of today's world. And those three defining characteristics are interdependence, velocity, and complexity. And he talks about an economic reset, a societal reset, a geopolitical reset, an environmental reset, a technological reset. And then he has a second portion that's about a micro reset, so more internally, especially in regards to industry and business. So he talks about micro trends, such as the acceleration of digitization, an industry reset, especially in regards to social interaction and desensitization and behavioral changes, both permanent versus transient. He talks about an individual reset, so redefining our humanness. Yes, that's the chapter. The better angels in our nature, ... or not. Mental health and well-being, and changing our priorities in regards to creativity, time, consumption, nature, and well-being, which is also saying that, don't worry, they've given thought to all those aspects of your life, and they have some suggestions and restrictions on them of your creativity, your time, consumption, nature, and well-being. And so a lot of so again, COVID-19, published in July 2020. And here's a great quote that kind of summarizes overall what this book is seeking to achieve. So it says, as the last few pages have exposed beyond reasonable doubt, the pandemic could open an era of active health surveillance made possible by location detecting smartphones, facial recognition cameras, and other technologies that identify sources of infection and track the spread of a disease in quasi-real time. So we've already seen a lot of examples of this, even with the way that Amazon has been integrated into, they have those like shopless Amazon stores where you just go in and take your card and it reads it from your phone or something. They've already been doing examples of getting chips implanted in order to unlock your door or use for payments and things like that. And obviously, and if you've followed us since the beginning or listened to our initial cast and are familiar with some of our Christian upbringing and hence Off the Mark and Mark of the Beast, another aspect of this new age that we're entering into, and I'm not saying it in the exact wording, but they say that no one shall enter the new age save they have the mark of the beast. So basically, this is this initiation process and phase and period that we've been undertaking through this age of COVID, of everything being locked down, isolation, the 6 feet apart, the wearing a mask, all these things are very intentionally ritualistic, you know, never mind how it might otherwise, you know, interact with our health or whatever, but it inadvertently, or quite possibly intentionally, with all these books and years of writing and years of planning, are to put us through this process of initiation. And basically we're all having to commit to this great reset, that the world is in chaos, you know, order out of chaos. That's, you know, it's on our, you know, they allude to it often, that this is the process that we're undergoing. And just for us not to be deceived by wolves in sheep's clothing, that these 17 sustainable goals, again, at a glance, may seem very altruistic and noble, and, you know, they're this book would tie perfectly in with 1984, as they've often been calling this, coined COVID 1984, as it's teased, because if you read the book, you'll see a lot of parallels with where we're at now, and it's unmistakable and it's beautiful. And it's unfortunate because we're even coming to this point where they are talking about having quarantine camps and re-education camps for all those, you know, vaccine skeptics or deniers and all of those things. But it's very evident that for years, and quite potentially decades and centuries, especially with, you know, in regards to the Bible having predicted this, even, that everyone would have the mark of the beast in their hand or forehead, that this has been in the works for a long time, that they're conditioning us towards certain behaviors. In 1984, George Orwell talks about doublespeak and how they were able to say, I'm forgetting some of the classic lines, but, you know, like, peace is war, or war is peace, things like that, where it's contradictory, but it puts you in a state of cognitive dissonance, because you have to, like, agree that, oh yeah, my imprisonment is security, and things like that. And that, okay, if they're able to body scan me digitally and make sure that I don't have any infection, and they can read every part and function of every aspect of my body, that then we'll be safe. You know, and, like, never mind the invasiveness of it. And I remember watching documentaries, you know, 5-10 years ago, probably, actually, that may have been from Bill Gates, or just in general, of, you know, projecting, you know, Tomorrowland, of this is the way the world will be, get excited. And it had things like how they would be able to have scanners or readers even in your toilet or shower, so that it would be able to, like, be able to do reads on your body based on your waste or excrements. And then that would, like, naturally upload to your permanent file or whatever, your record, and your biometrics, and they would be able to adjust your insurance and all of those kinds of things accordingly to that. So anyways, we're bringing in all of this to just nod to that there has been such a push this entire year towards communist and socialist principles. And if you disagree, just, like, look up, like, what their goals and standards and stuff are, and where we were a year ago, you know, before we agreed to 2 weeks to stop the spread, and where we are now at come inauguration day tomorrow.
There's this made in 1981 called My Dinner with Audrey, and there's been clips that have come up, yeah, on Instagram, on Facebook, this and that. But the clips allude to basically exactly what you're just saying. He ends up saying, "Have you ever wondered why?" He alludes to a theory, and I don't remember what theory he's talking about. But man, if I could just find the speech, it'll blow you away. I know you've heard it before, but he basically alludes to people in New York always complaining about how New York is so expensive, and about how they hate being there, but they'll never move. They never move. And then he, at the end of the speech, he ends up going back to New York, saying the reason why they won't move is because they're the ones who built their own prison. And they don't even know that they're in it. Right. You know, in other words, we put money into our own cities, our own lives, our own communities, our own livelihoods, not understanding that the way it's being built and the way it has been structured has been a structure that gave us a level of comfort and security, that regardless of any freedoms that have been taken away. So whether it was just interesting. It was just, man, it just really blew me away. And I don't think I explained it exactly. I don't think I explained it the way I wanted to, but
no, that was like, yeah, that we built our prisons and we don't notice it because we are attached to it. So we almost have a Stockholm syndrome to our own like personal suppression of our powers.
right, right. It's heavy. It's a heavy idea to even consider, because it only adjusts our thinking into either, again, like you said, the cognitive dissonance, or having to hold ourselves accountable and having to figure out what we're going to do, what we're going to be able to do to fix it. And it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to have to realize and a lot to take in. So thank you. Thank you for the introduction to the Great Reset. We're going to keep going balls deep into this subject, especially because, well, I mean, to put it honestly, ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of time. You know what I mean? So the more we can put out there, the more that we can put out there that you can actually puzzle piece yourselves together, the better it'll be for everybody, as opposed to you listening to us and saying, oh, okay, they're right. I don't want to be right. Miss Kelly doesn't want to be right. We want the information out there, because the way we had to put the pieces together and puzzle them and these last few years, we want you guys to be able to do it. But again, time is of the essence as of now, and it may not seem like it, but again, if you just see the parallels with this Great Reset book by Schwab, or if you consider the parallels in 1984 by Orson, I was about to say Orson Welles,
but it's still relevant. It has a piece in there in the puzzle.
Also Animal Farm. Animal Farm's an easy one.
Right.
And it's actually quite hilarious, and it just talks about how politicians eat each other alive while we suffer, while the Republic suffers. So that's another good one to get into.
House pigs.
Right. Miss Kali, thank you so much for that. That was
real quick before we sign off, I do want to say a bit more for the preparedness aspect, because as we've touched on, you know, as of recording this, we're the day before the inauguration tomorrow, and we definitely want people to be prepared for whatever may come. So there've definitely been like reports on mainstream news even to like encouraging people to stay home and preparing us for whatever potential chaos. And there's also been reports of rolling blackouts and things like that. So just come what may, there's some things to be mindful of. So there's this wonderful Instagram page I used to follow, but they've since been shut down, as many have. But okay, it talks about what to prepare for in case of food shortage, power or water cutoffs that could potentially happen. So you want to think of getting a gas heater, especially depending on where you live and the potential climate, especially if it's wintertime like it is for us here, but we're in California, so we're not as pressed by it as other areas. Potentially having a gas cooker or stove, some propane tanks that you can utilize. Some essential foods to stock up with that have a long shelf life, are easy to store, are relatively inexpensive, and that give you enough nutrition to last on. Salts, oil, and honey especially are really lasting. Some that aren't.
Why not the recommendation of sugar? Is that because it's oils, or?
Just sometimes it can be like compromised if it gets damp or things like that, or it can attract ants or things like that. Definitely you could still do sugar too, but a lot of like people are used to processed sugars too, where so it depends on, you know, sugar doesn't mean the same thing to all people, but honey has nutritive properties to it as well, especially if you get like raw unfiltered honey, then it still has, you know, your B vitamins and aminos and things like that in it as well. Some other things not mentioned here are apple cider vinegar, which is very versatile to use in flavoring and marinating things so that you can cook it without actually having to cook it. And also just for general health, it can be alkalizing and used as a tonic and stuff like that. And then also Bragg's amino acids or coconut aminos. And then also to prepare your space. So again, this is the day before inauguration. Ideally, obviously, everything just runs smoothly. Everybody, you know, is mindful and respectful of each other, and we are able to begin this, come what may, that we're able to unite and heal from all of this discord that we've endured, and that we are able to become more empowered, personally. But this year has invited us to reflect on what's important and essential to us. So just to be kind of mindful of those things, of if you were stuck in your house for an extended period of time, like what would you really want or need? Are you going to need like a second or third, expensive purse or whatever? Or is it worth investing in some of these other things that are going to be more useful should you have to bug out, especially and be away from your home? Or if you are, in the case of a blackout or something, or martial law, if that were to occur and we were quarantined in our homes for an extended period of time, making sure that you have all your essentials here. So I think that's all we want to share now. And yeah, we definitely want to dive deeper into this topic. I guess I'll just throw it out there, even look up the Georgia guidestones. So, these things aren't, just to be mindful of, not to be too reliant on any particular institution to be your lifeline, or to be your giver of equality and all of that. And yeah, just drawing in our power into our self-reliance, our control over our food and our resources and our relationships with each other as our best assets, our health and our faith.
That's right. That's perfect. It's just us out there, ladies and gentlemen, and honestly, that's kind of how it should be. So we got to work it out for us, but we can do it. I'm ready for Mad Max times.
Zapata is born to play. No, just kidding.
Again, we're joking, but again, it's always better to be prepared than it is and feel silly about it than to not be prepared at all and have to panic. So this is the only reason why we're putting those facts out there. And again, it's common sense. If you do have a family, if you have a family, regardless, the wisest thing to do is to always have a plan B in case of an emergency. We all know that it's been embedded in all this. So, that's all this is. Again, thank you so much for all your hard work. I cannot wait to see how this episode turns out. You've done such an amazing job as usual, Ms. Kyle.
Thank you so much, Judy.
I don't even know how to plug us anymore. Where do we go? She is working so hard on a website. The website should be up pretty soon. But before that, if you want to help us out, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/offthemarkcast. And hit us up there. See what power level you want to join us in, and do it. Know what I mean? Yeah, ma'am. Anything else you want to add before we head out?
No, we're just so thankful to all of you who have joined us on this journey, and we appreciate your support on the Patreon, and we're wanting to keep this momentum going and just keep uplifting each other and being prepared that might not, like, hopefully the 4 horsemen don't ride tomorrow, like for Simpson's prediction, but nevertheless, we still got work to do regardless in the years to come. So wait, we own it.
Right. So good luck to you guys. God bless every single one of us. More than likely, I imagine we're gonna push for a live tomorrow. She doesn't know this yet, but we're probably gonna push tomorrow, given the atmosphere and things of that nature. But regardless, you guys updated on the Capitol and gave you true news as possible, as always. Stay home, stay focused, stay vigilant, and if you pray, say a prayer for our country. If not, meditate, do what you gotta do, but keep us in positive at all times. Again,
Maharishi effect.
There we go. I love it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. We love you. God bless you, and stay vigilant.